Welcome to South East Today. I'm Polly Evans.
And I'm Rob Smith. Tonight's top stories: Eurotunnel claim lax security on the French rail network is allowing migrants to target Calais. We have an exclusive interview.
A patient getting to hospital.
No, I'm not.
You are.
An angry face-off between Sussex paramedics taking a patient to hospital and a driver who wouldn't let them pass. We'll be live in Brighton with the details.
Also in tonight's programme, the manager of a scandal-hit Sussex care home's accused of falsifying a dying patient's records to cover up a medication overdose. The fight for the right to put up a Christmas tree outside number 10 Downing Street. We meet the growers in the running.
Tooth fairy money has gone up so ridiculously that there's no incentive for kids to keep their teeth anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm just going to get kids going, yeah, I've got £3 in cash and 50 quid, but it's all tied up in my mouth.
And Crawley school teacher turned stand-up comedian Romesh Ranganathan on his new series and coming home to perform in Sussex.
Good evening. The chief executive of Eurotunnel has exclusively told this programme that lax security on the French railway network is enabling migrants to target his company's Calais terminals. Jacques Gounon's urging the French authorities to strengthen security, which sources close to Eurotunnel have described as a migrant motorway.
Well, thousands of migrants are sleeping rough in Calais, making nightly attempts to cross the Channel into Kent. The French Interior Minister is to visit the town tomorrow. Peter Whittlesey reports.
It's the chink in Eurotunnel's armour where the cross-channel operator's site ends and the national railway begins. Dubbed the migrant motorway because it's become the favoured route for those trying to break in. Today at a champagne reception launching Eurotunnel's new freight depot, the company's boss said efforts to improve security were compromised by this weak link.
There is a remaining hole in the scheme, which is the SNCF, which is a public network. And if I have only one concern, is the fact that the very efficient protection we have on the Eurotunnel terminal does not exist on the SNCF part. And I am creating some pressure on the French government in order for the government to deal with this public issue.
A world away from the French finger food at Eurotunnel's press launch is the migrant camp called the Jungle. Charity worker Christian Salome has volunteered here for 7 years and says the extra security isn't deterring more and more people from arriving in Calais.
Day by day, yes. Probably 150, 200 people arriving every day. Some of them going away to UK, to Germany, to other countries. Some of them stay here.
There's a church, a mosque, a nightclub, shops and 42 different restaurants in the Jungle. Akbar showed me what was on the menu.
It's like Kurdish rice and Afghani rice. It's the popular dish here.
And how much is the chicken?
It's €3 with bread, salad and everything here.
But the rate of growth of the Jungle is a major concern for Calais' deputy mayor.
As you know, there are a bit more than 6,000 now. I'm quite sure there'll be 10,000 by the end of the year as a minimum. And we have more and more difficulties to manage that situation,
putting even more pressure on security in Calais.
Well, let's go live to Peter Whittlesey in Calais. And Peter, the French Interior Minister visiting tomorrow, but he's been speaking about the humanitarian crisis there rather than securing the borders.
Well, that's right. When he comes tomorrow, it won't be beefing up the security here on this so-called migrant motorway to stop them walking up. He's talking about improving sanitation, giving medicine to those who are living in the jungle. It means there's created an unlikely alliance between people like Natasha Bouchard, the MP, the mayor for Calais, and the MP for Folkestone and Hythe, Damian Collins. They want more action to be taken, and they want those people who are here, who shouldn't be here, to be deported, and those who are rightful asylum seekers for their applications to be processed and therefore be moved to where they should be living.
Thanks, Peter. The manager of a Sussex care home where 5 residents died as a result of institutionalised abuse allegedly falsified a dying patient's medical records and ordered documents to be shredded to cover up the fact that they'd been given an overdose of prescription drugs.
Nermala Reid, who's the former manager of the Orchid View care home in Copthorne near Crawley, is facing multiple charges in a disciplinary hearing at the Nursing and Midwifery Council in London. Piers Hopkirk has the details.
Nermala Reid faces 7 charges relating to her tenure at Orchid View, including asking a member of staff with no medical qualifications to administer drugs to a resident who was screaming in pain. There were 19 unexplained deaths at Orchid View nursing home, a coroner ruling that 5 of those involved neglect. 77-year-old Jean Halfpenny was one of them. Today's hearing was told that after Mrs Halfpenny had been given an overdose of warfarin, Nermala Reid allegedly instructed a colleague to shred her medical notes, saying, "You can't send her to hospital with that, they will shut us down." It's claimed Mrs Reid then rewrote the notes herself to cover up the overdose. It was between August 2009 and June 2010 that Nermala Reid was home manager at Orchid View. In August 2011, a tip-off concerning the treatment of residents led to a police investigation. There was insufficient evidence, though, to prosecute. But in October 2011, owners Southern Cross closed Orchid View, an inquest later concluding that institutional abuse had taken place there. The 3-person panel here at the Nursing and Midwifery Council is expected to hear evidence for a week. If they find Nermala Reid guilty of the charges she faces, they have the power to strike her off the professional register. And while Mrs Reid wasn't here today, the hearing heard that she has denied these accusations in the past. Piers Hopkirk, BBC South East Today, Stratford.
Coming up in a moment, the biker who broke his back, neck, collarbone and pelvis in a high-speed crash reunited with the crew who saved his life. A retired Sussex vicar accused of a string of sexual assaults has taken the stand at the Old Bailey today to deny having any inappropriate contact with 2 teenage boys. Vickery House from Handcross near Crawley admitted making sexual advances towards 4 of his alleged male victims, but not the 2 youngest.
He told the jury that he was ashamed of his actions in the 1970s and 80s, but he said that they were not sexual assaults. Sarah Smith has our report.
Vickery House told the jury today he'd lied in the past about sexual advances he'd made to other men because he thought it was the best way to protect his wife and children. Now, he said, he was telling them the truth. Giving evidence in his defence today, Vickery House said he had made a pass at 4 men he knew through the church, first in Devon, then while a vicar in Sussex. But he'd thought the men would be open to his advances. When he realised he'd got it so wrong, he said he was ashamed, but that it didn't amount to sexual assault. Asked whether there'd been similar contact with a 14-year-old and a 19-year-old, he said that had never happened. In cross-examination, the prosecutor said the former vicar had taken advantage of his position. He said, "The reason you did what you did is because what mattered to you was your own gratification." Vickery House answered, "It was because I hoped it would be reciprocated." The prosecutor then asked him, "Was it that you thought, I'm in a position where I'm trusted and respected, I'm going to try my luck and I don't really care about what they think?" The defendant replied, "I cared very much about what they thought." It was put to him that he'd not told the truth to the jury. Turning to face the 12 men and women, he said, "I have told you the truth, painfully." The case continues tomorrow. Sarah Smith, BBC South East Today, the Old Bailey.
Now, the South East Coast Ambulance Service is investigating a furious row that broke out between 2 paramedics and a driver who blocked their way as they were trying to take a patient to hospital in Brighton.
Well, the incident was filmed by an eyewitness on his mobile phone who says that he was shocked by the driver's refusal to cooperate with the ambulance crew. Fiona Irving has more.
Don't start shouting at me. You're obstructing a patient getting to hospital. No, I'm not. You are!
A 20-minute standoff which held up an ambulance on an emergency call. This driver in a BMW refused to reverse as cars piled up behind. Callum Rosa filmed what happened.
It's just one lane, so obviously 2 cars can't pass each other here. So someone has to give way to the other person, but yesterday a van came down this way and a BMW came up this way. It got stuck in the middle and refused to move out the way. It was ridiculous. There was just no need for it. The van had a massive gap behind it. The BMW, all they had to do was reverse down the tunnel. Grown men, both refusing, just sitting there like children.
As you can see from the sign, it's very clear. Vehicles coming down the hill have priority over those coming up. South East Coast Ambulance say they are looking into what happened, but they say incidents like this one are very rare. And they're urging members of the public to listen to paramedics when they're on an emergency call. We showed the footage to drivers in the area. Their response was pretty unanimous. So I just wanted to ask you, what's your reaction to that?
For the matter.
So as you can see, an ambulance was held up there with a patient in it. What's your reaction to that?
It's very bad, to be honest. It's very bad. If I've got an ambulance behind me or something, I just move out of the way. I don't care where I go, even if it's a red light or anything, because someone's life could depend on it.
Well, I think people are stupid. I mean, I think it's just, there needs to just be give and take.
And for the ambulance crew dealing with members of the public, there's an added stress they don't need.
The job is very stressful. They're 12-hour shifts. The majority of crews are getting late finishes, 13-hour, 14-hour shifts. So they are constantly dealing with patients. So any disruptions into that patient care is not good. It's not good for the member of the public, and it's not good for the ambulance person.
South East Coast ambulances are investigating the incident.
Well, Fiona is live for us in Brighton now by that contentious bridge. Fiona, what does the law actually say about this kind of dispute?
Well, Rob, in 2006 it became an offence, it became illegal to obstruct an emergency worker, which include an ambulance, when they were responding to emergency situations. And the fine for that can be up to £5,000. Now, in the last 10 minutes, I've spoken to the driver of the BMW, who told me that the footage doesn't reflect the real situation. He says he couldn't reverse foot backwards and couldn't go forwards either. And he says he's made an official complaint to South East Coast Ambulances.
OK, Fiona, thank you.
A verdict of unlawful killing has been returned at an inquest into the deaths of 2 medical students, including one from Kent, who were stabbed in Borneo. Aidan Brunger from Hempstead in Gillingham and Neil Dalton from Derbyshire were killed in the unprovoked attack on the island of Borneo in August last year. They were on a work placement at a local hospital when they were killed by 23-year-old fishmonger Zulkifli Abdullah.
A Chinese investment firm has announced plans to put £100 million into the new Paramount theme park planned in North Kent. Sino Fortoni has promised the money to help develop the £3.2 billion attraction in Swanscombe near Dartford. Work is due to begin there in 2017.
People using the train to get to Gatwick Airport over the Christmas period are being warned to expect significant disruption to their journeys as major engineering works are carried out. From Christmas Eve until January the 3rd, the Gatwick Express service will be suspended and replaced with rail diversions and replacement buses. Southern trains between London and the Sussex coast will be disrupted, along with southeastern trains to and from Kent.
If they are going to accept their journeys are going to be slightly more difficult, take longer, be disrupted, then they want loads of information in advance. They want help to plot their alternative routes. On the day they want information, they want staff around to help them. And if things do go wrong, what we don't want to see is a repeat of last Christmas, where we had people locked out in the cold outside of stations wondering what on earth was going on.
Well, our reporter Simon Jones is live at Charing Cross Station in London for us now. Simon, just how bad is it looking for passengers this Christmas?
Well, Christmas may be a couple of months away, but Network Rail is making it clear already it won't be handing out gifts to passengers over the festive period. Charing Cross Station here will be shut completely, as will Cannon Street, as will Waterloo East, and ongoing problems at London Bridge. And if you're heading into Sussex, then the Gatwick Express will be suspended. You can use other trains to get there, or the train and the bus. And if you're heading to Brighton, you'll have to take a train, bus and then a train. But Network Rail says fewer people use the network over the festive period, and that is the best time to carry out vital engineering work.
Thanks, Simon.
Well, the time now is very nearly 7:15. This is our top story tonight. Eurotunnel's chief executive says lax security on the French railways is letting migrants target Calais. Jacques Gounon is urging the French authorities to strengthen security. The French Interior Minister is due to visit the town tomorrow.
Also in tonight's programme.
Join me, Romesh Ranganathan, a little later on in the programme to talk about love, life and my upcoming tour Irrational.
And it's been a sunny autumnal day. This photo in Hythe in Kent will change for tomorrow, though, turning wet and windy. I'll have the details.
A motorcyclist who was critically injured in a high-speed crash has been reunited for the first time today with the air ambulance team who helped to save his life. Michael Forsdyke from Maidstone suffered a broken neck, back, collarbone and pelvis in the crash in Ashford 2 years ago. He was given an emergency blood transfusion at the roadside, and he's admitted today that he really shouldn't be here. But as Chrissy Reedy explains for tonight's special report, pioneering surgery at a London hospital saved his life.
OK, let's get the handover then, please.
27-year-old male who was riding a motorbike at 60 miles an hour when he T-boned into a car, pulling out...
The high-speed road collision in Ashford left Michael Forsdyke with catastrophic injuries. Emergency doctors described his condition as code red, which meant at risk of a massive hemorrhage.
He's obviously still badly hemodynamic unstable. He's had 4 units of blood, tranexamic acid.
His extraordinary story featured as part of a documentary as A&E staff performed a pioneering procedure which involves blocking his main artery with a latex balloon, stopping the blood flow to the lower part of his body.
Morning, chaps.
Hello.
Good morning. How you doing?
Michael.
Good to see you.
2 years on, Michael was today reunited with the air ambulance crew, who in those crucial minutes after the collision carried out a blood transfusion to stop him bleeding to death.
There are literally no words. That it should never have happened. I shouldn't be here, but I am, so very lucky indeed.
Crews only began carrying units of blood a few months before Mike's accident, so he was one of the first significant transfusions they were able to carry out at the scene.
It makes a massive difference having that ability to do that. It buys time, and certainly in Mike's case, you know, I think it was that thing that really bridged the gap and allowed us to get him to hospital alive.
His condition was so severe, doctors described his injuries as some of the worst they'd seen in years.
I remember even just from walking, as we arrived at the scene, I could see him just 10 feet away, and I can say I've never seen anyone who looked as sick as he did and looks so well now. He's made an amazing recovery.
You know, they're lifesavers essentially, and without them, a lot of other people probably wouldn't be alive either.
Michael says it's nothing short of a miracle. Chrissy Reedy, BBC South East Today, Red Hill.
Now, I know we haven't had Halloween yet, but we're going to turn our attention to Christmas for a moment, because a good Christmas needs some planning. And if you're a Christmas tree grower, then bringing your Nordmann, spruce, fir and pine trees to the peak of perfection takes years of patience.
And you were just getting on with your day, but 100 or so growers from around the country have meanwhile gathered in Kent to compete for the title of Best Christmas Tree Grower, and the right to have their trees stand outside 10 Downing Street come December. Robin Gibson has our report.
There's more than an element here of the Great British Bake Off meets the Christmas tree people. The nation's best growers have come together at a Kent country house estate to meet and compete for the right for the tree at number 10 this Christmas.
Be able to deliver a Christmas tree to number 10 Downing Street, to have a 20-foot tree standing outside number 10 Downing Street is something that they would all like to achieve, really.
So how would you choose amongst this lot? Like any country event, this is a bit of a get-together. You can hear the hubbub. Everyone's having fun, but it is a competition. Flying the flag for Sussex is Clive Collins. He started running his Christmas tree business after breaking his back falling from a tree. He showed me round one of his.
It's got great shape, so it's not too wide at the bottom. It's got good colour, so nice dark green. And in this case, Serbian spruce, nice blue underneath to the needles.
These are judging samples of the growers' work. The winner gets to choose the big Downing Street tree from their plantations back home. The hosts, who'll sell 10,000 trees this year, are happy to put up with a bit of banter.
I'm game on for a bit of criticism. We're all keen to learn. It'll be an interesting day to hear what they say about some of our trees, and there'll be lots of tutting going on.
And so to the vote.
And the champion tree and supplier of tree for number 10 Downing Street is FO10, Gary Walford.
The winning tree will stick out, you know, from early age, and you know, and you look after it.
and you know at some point that will win for you.
Really? So you've had your eye on this
Oh
tree
yeah,
for a while?
for a while.
A worthy winner in a needle match. Robin Gibson, BBC South East Today, Rolvenden.
Is that our earliest Christmas feature ever?
It's getting close to
I
it.
hope it hasn't opened the floodgates. Now, it's a bold career move to swap being a maths teacher in Crawley for life on the stand-up circuit. But for Romesh Ranganathan, it's turned out very well indeed, becoming a regular on TV shows like Mock the Week and Live at the Apollo.
And he also had his own BBC documentary series, Asian Provocateur, which saw him leave Sussex to explore his family roots in Sri Lanka. Tonight, though, he's back on home ground, and Leanne Rinnie's been to meet him ahead of his performance at the Horth Theatre in Crawley.
About that, but in the winter, one of my favourite pastimes is to pretend to passers-by that I've just arrived in the country and that I'm seeing snow for the very first time.
Romesh Ranganathan hasn't always been a sellout comedian. He used to be a maths teacher in Crawley.
I didn't dislike teaching, but I just thought I would give it a go as like a hobby. You know, like a cool... You know, like all teachers have a little hobby, don't they? Do you know what I mean? Because, well, you have to. Otherwise, what do you do of an evening? Do you know what I mean? Life can be very empty. I would argue if you can keep the attention of 21 Year 9s when you're teaching them algebra Friday period 5, then I reckon you can do the Apollo.
Wow! Jesus!
What do you mean I'm
You're born and brought up in England, so you speak English, you don't know the language.
In between performing stand-up, his mum took him to Sri Lanka this year to discover his roots and culture.
My mum's proved to be quite a success, to the point where I'm getting a lot of messages saying that she's the star of the show and that she's a lot funnier on the show than I am. So, you know, do I regret her involvement? Yeah, probably I do. Do you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I've worked at the stand-up to get to a point where I get a TV show. She swanned in, like last minute, got in on the show, and all of a sudden people are talking about how funny she is. I can make money out of anything. Once I found a stone, and I told a guy that it was what Madonna used to get excess skin off her feet. Then he gave me £10 to leave him alone.
But one thing he doesn't regret is joining this year's Apprentice, You're Fired.
When they told me that I was going to be able to do it, I was like, I just wanted to play my cards close to my chest, but I ended up just coming across as a fanboy. Like, they said to me, how would you feel about doing The Apprentice, You're Fired? And I was like, it's a dream come true. Like, I wasn't good at, like, keeping my feelings to myself.
And he could do with looking after his trusty apprentice suitcase, as next year he's hitting the road once again for his new tour, Irrational. Leanne Rinnie, BBC South East Today, Crawley.
And his mum is very funny, actually.
Now, when two trampoline coaches from Uckfield became frustrated by the lack of facilities in their area, they decided to do something about it. So they set up their own club.
That was 5 years ago. And remarkably, later this week, 4 members of the Sky High Club are going to fly to Portugal to represent Great Britain in the Junior World Cup. 2 will then go on to the World Age Games in Denmark, as Neil Bell reports.
Their progress has been truly exceptional. To produce one international gymnast would have been outstanding, but for a new, relatively small club from East Sussex to be providing 4 members of the GB Junior national team is exceptional.
Well, this place was set up 5 years ago now, and it's just been hard work from there, and you just have to train all the time, your best. There is always competition, but it's really good. It makes you push yourself harder, and I think that's the reason why we've got 4 from our club, because we're always trying to get better than the other one.
The Sky High Juniors all hope to emulate Kent's world champion Kat Driscoll, who competed at the London Olympics, and that means a lot of hard work.
Well, I do about 6 training sessions a week of trampolining, and I do 2 of sports acro as like a conditioning program, basically. Healthy eating, just everything. You've got to think about everything is just all related to trampolining, and it takes up your life, but if you love it enough, then that's perfect.
And that dedication has paid off. All 4 girls put in impressive performances at the recent National Championships in Liverpool. But above all, the sport is still fun.
You just feel like you're a bird and you're just flying.
Yeah.
It's just having that kind of feeling of being able to fly.
It's also really fun learning new moves. Like,
hard moves.
It's nerve-wracking, but
it's really fun at the same time.
Their enthusiasm for their sport is infectious, and everyone at the Sky High Club is loving their success. Neil Bell, BBC South East Today, Uckfield.
Good luck to them. Rhino news now, and keepers at Howlett's Wild Animal Park near Canterbury are celebrating the arrival of the first baby black rhino to be born in the park's 40-year history.
Now, they say that the as-yet unnamed male rhino calf, who was born to first-time mother Damara, is doing well. They've described him as full of beans and charging around. They hope that it'll be good news for the future of the species, which is critically endangered. Black rhino numbers in the wild have, of course, been decimated by poachers. He's a cute little chap, isn't he?
He's very cute, isn't he? I'm going to get a check on the weather now. Lovely day today, Rachel.
I'm afraid it's all changed for tomorrow. That's a cute act to follow, isn't it? So there is some rain on the way, but of course earlier we had clear blue skies. In fact, there was barely a cloud in the sky. This scene, clearer skies, and of course the autumnal leaves looking resplendent in the sunshine, similar across the southeast. This was in Hythe in Kent, sent in by Vicky Davis. So over the next couple of hours, we're going to hold on to the clearer skies, but then we start to see more cloud cover feeding in from the west, and that's ahead of rain that eventually we're going to be seeing for tomorrow. Temperatures tonight, though, still at around 8 or 9 degrees, slightly milder there along the coast. Initially dry for tomorrow, but very quickly we're going to start to see this band of rain. It's heavy at times, and as you can tell from those isobars, it's going to be quite a breezy day as well. And also significantly, the winds are swinging from an easterly to a southwesterly direction, so slightly milder weather on the way. But of course, for tomorrow, it's not going to be feeling particularly pleasant. So that rain, particularly during the morning, as we head through the afternoon, it should slowly start to ease its way eastwards. And temperatures at around 12 or 13 degrees. As you can see, those southwesterly winds picking up 15 to 20 miles per hour. So through tomorrow night, any rain that is left should be slowly clearing, and quite a lot of cloud cover, and temperatures noticeably milder. So we'll see overnight lows of around 11 or 12 degrees. So a slightly milder start to the day for Thursday, and by the afternoon temperatures are going to be rising for Thursday to around 14, 15 degrees, but mostly we should be staying dry. Quite a bit of cloud cover, quite a different feel really to today. And then over into Friday, well, the chance that you could be seeing rain at times, but again, it's going to be a mostly dry picture. We've got rain and turning chilly as we look towards Sunday.
Thanks very much, Rachel. Time just flies, doesn't it? This year's BBC Children in Need 2015 appeal is coming around again. It's fast approaching on Friday, the 13th of November.
And here in South East, Pudsey has been limbering up for the big event.
Join me and Pudsey for this year's Children in Need in the South East. We're going to be live at the Redoubt Fortress in Eastbourne on Friday, November the 13th, and we'd like you to join us.
He's a good drummer, that Pudsey, isn't he? So for next month's Children in Need, we'll be live at the Redoubt Fortress in Eastbourne. If you would like tickets to come and join us, then email us. Tickets will be allocated on a first-come, first-served basis.
And don't forget to let us know what you're getting up to raise money for Children in Need on our Facebook page, or you can contact us on Twitter about it.
I'll be back at 8 o'clock and 10:25.
I'll see you tomorrow, whatever you're doing. Have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.